Hi, this is Otero, the president of the Global Trade Chamber.
And I'm Maria Renee Davila, the founder of the 100 Successful Women in Business. And this is the
Welcome, Success Stories. This is our series of interviews featuring, showcasing, and highlighting amazing, successful entrepreneurs from around the globe. This show has been going on for years, and we have a library, right, Maria?
Yes, we are actually this year we're gonna kick off the shows with our own studio. We're gonna start doing the interviews from our studio. And the beautiful about the technology is that you can actually have the show any part of the world, and we guests that actually in any part of the world.
Amazing.
Like our today's guest, we have a special guest like always. And let me tell you a little bit more about Paola Zaragoza. She's an attorney, and I was so impressed when I met her in Puerto Rico for the first time. We saw her before, but it was really the first time that we met her in Puerto Rico during our annual convention. And the presentation that she made, it was amazing about
Intellectual property
there you go.
and trademarks.
I was so
Specialized
impressed
in
with that.
trademarks.
And it's so important, especially for a business. If you have an idea and you want to start a business or you want to, move forward with that idea, I'm telling you right now, you need to listen to this interview because you're going to learn a lot.
Yes, it's the only way you're going to be able to protect your brand from somebody stealing your name, somebody claiming that they had it before you. But if you don't have Paula in your uh, advisor team, you're dead. You're dead. So Paula not only is a fantastic attorney because she's very knowledgeable, but she's one of the best presenters we had in Puerto Rico. So she has a gift for communicating not very exciting information, trademarks, intellectual property, but she made it so interesting that if you pay attention.
Absolutely. So let's welcome Paola Zaragoza.
Hi, thank you for the invitation. Um, as uh, um, as you mentioned, my name is Paola Zaragoza Cardenales. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I'm an intellectual property attorney, and I also work with small and medium businesses. So, what is this all about intellectual property? So, it's like a really huge umbrella that has four very important boxes. There's other boxes, but here in the US, there's patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. So those are the boxes. And then in Europe, there's like fancier boxes like geographical indications, industrial designs, traditional knowledge. But mainly, you're gonna see and be working a lot with the first four. And these have their own particularities, but all are exclusive rights. So you're creating a monopoly basically, and you control everything, and all of the rights can be sold separately. So you can sell to Maria the rights to reproduce, but you can sell to Al Otero the rights to a derivative creations, but you can preserve the rights of other things of the same creation. With trademarks, specifically, it's any name, phrase, colors, even smells, anything that you can think of that a consumer can associate with you as a brand, as a person, or as a business. You can basically trademark, and even celebrities, like the right to the image or personality or likeness can be considered a trademark. Then copyrights is more of like the creative stuff, like books, arts, either physical or digital. Patents is your computer, microphones, medicine. It can be processes or even shapes in general. And the trade secrets is your Coca-Cola recipe, KFC, all those mysterious, really good food recipes. And
Bacardi.
yeah, Bacardi, etc. And that's basically like intellectual property in a very short summary.
Very good. And the first question that people, I can guarantee you, is thinking about is, do I need this?
Exactly.
Do I need to register anything about what I'm doing? And the second question is expensive?
Well, it's very necessary from like day one. You're thinking about creating an organization. The first thing you have to think about is your business plan and the intellectual property that will come along with it. And unfortunately, I have some bad news. It is expensive. But there's a lot of small and micro business discounts from the USPTO, and there's a lot of SBA grants and money like scholarships and stuff that you can get to make it more affordable. And then there's the clinics where they provide services for free. And then there's more affordable legal services like mine, where comparatively to other intellectual property attorneys, I'm on the more affordable
I
side.
thought you were going to say, I'm the expensive one.
I'm the Rolls Royce.
Someday, but not yet.
Okay, I have a question. I'm watching the news this morning, and have you heard of the singer Rod Stewart?
Yeah, of course.
The what? Sorry.
Singer Rod Stewart?
No, I haven't seen the news
Oh,
today.
that's a
No.
classic.
Well, he's a classic rock and roll, Rod Stewart.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you did, but the name, it was like, how old is he? 90?
He's sold. No, he's still
Oh,
singing.
still singing? Oh,
So
sorry.
he just sold his rights for all his music for $100 million.
$100 million. Ooh.
To somebody that bought the right to sell his music or have it done by somebody else.
Wow.
$100 million. So obviously he's very famous, but which of those four boxes would that go in?
Well, music is classified as a copyright. So with music, you have various components. There's the song, and there's the written composition, and then there's the instrument. So with that, each there can be like different people behind that, and then there's the company, the music company that this musician might have to like manage everything. And the thing with music contracts is that you have to be really careful and hire an attorney to make sure that you're not selling your soul with that contract. Because $100 million can sound nice, but if you can't sing anymore and you sold your rights to your own image, then you can say goodbye to your career.
Yeah, that's all those things are so
It's
important,
very
right?
complex.
And Paola, if it is possible, by the end of the interview, perhaps you can share some links for people to access those places that you mentioned before about the small business, and you also mentioned a couple of places where probably can people access and start looking for that affordable, way to. Well, first of all, they need to contact you, Paola. But I'm saying that if they are looking for a grant or some additional help from the government to pay the fees. So that's definitely be something very important for us to share with everybody. But besides a little bit, I'm going to change a little bit the subject. And besides, obviously, Paola's expertise, I want to know more about Paola.
Oh, yeah.
I know that she was on the cover of our magazine, The Successful Women.
Yeah.
You seen her cover?
She looks like a movie star.
Yeah, so you need to, Jonathan is going to place the magazine, and you're gonna see she was great. On the picture she looks so gorgeous with everything. She's still gorgeous, obviously, but
thank you.
Star.
She looks like a star. You would think you're an attorney, because usually they're boring and not very pretty.
That's not true. So tell us more about your family. Tell us, are you married? You have children? You live with your parents?
Well, I currently live with my mom. I have a really close relationship with her, and she's my accountant for the business. So
Ah,
Great.
she runs all the numbers and gives me a lot of advice. And
Great.
then my other employee in very large quotations is my dog. She, you know, the moral support of the of the enterprise.
I love it.
I
The
love it.
dog.
The mascot. The
Yeah,
mascot.
the
I love
mascot.
it. What a great. You know, so better than that.
Paula, you can practice law in Puerto Rico, but also in the U.S. In what states? In all the states?
Yes, so the good thing about intellectual property that there's no restrictions. So I can be in the comfort of my own home in my pajamas and be working with people in New York, California, and around the world, quite frankly. So, for instance, I have a client from Antigua and Barbuda, but I have also clients from Switzerland. I might have I might have in the future clients from Japan because they might be interested in registering intellectual property in the US, and I can do that.
That's a good point about the intellectual property. Let's say that you start on the process to register, because I assume that the first thing you want to do is to register the name, so nobody else can, use or steal the name from you. But what about the boundaries? Can you do it just global, or this is just local? Is US, or how the process is in that way?
So it's very territorial, so I would always recommend to start local as possible, and then work from there. So to give you an idea, Puerto Rico has its own register. So if I'm only selling stuff here in the island, then the local register is good enough for me. But at the second that I start having a website and having social media, then I might start considering the USPTO, which is the federal register. And if I start having more international selling points or customers, then I might start considering the European register or even the international register. And it can be very complex to the point where, for instance, here in Puerto Rico, we have a really strange case called Target versus Target, where here in Puerto Rico we have Target Rent a Car, but Target, the store that you know in the US as Target, doesn't exist here because it can't enter the island because Target Rent a Car already exists and has an identical logo to Target, the
Oh,
store.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
who started first?
And who started first? The rent a car, and that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that doesn't
So,
matter because they are studying in Puerto Rico first. That's what she's saying.
so
So
Target
the other time I
stole the
can.
logo from the rental
No,
car.
Oh,
no,
No,
there's something else, Otero.
I'm gonna sue.
no. That wasn't the case. But there's other sort of more complicated dramas
Ah,
where, for
Sorry.
instance, there's a Budvar versus Budweiser. Budvar is like a Czech style beer that has existed since the 1800s. And then all of a sudden, Anheuser-Busch launched Budweiser, and it's like, but yours is identical to mine, and I started first.
oh, wow. So that's.
Yeah.
It's very
What
confusing.
about a company that has been doing whatever for years? They started the concept and the name and everything, but they never register anything. And then another company comes and take the name. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible. And you can still claim that name was yours. You just have to have really good evidence to prove ownership. So that might be, and the good thing about being with all this like social media, internet revolution is that I can prove ownership with WhatsApp audios, with WhatsApp text, with social media screenshots, with, quite frankly, even an emoji of a thumbs up.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy, like somebody's going to steal your name after all the years of work because you didn't
Yeah.
register. Okay, okay. I thought that it
Yeah.
was that easy, like they can steal your name.
Well, yeah, it is easy because they can, for instance, if I post something and I have a watermark, and if that watermark is easy to remove, they can steal it.
Oh, yeah.
I can do a claim against them and be like, hey, that was mine. What are you doing?
Mm,
So there's ways to go fight it.
that's
With
interesting.
Paula.
Yeah. No, and also what I'm understanding here is that it's a process of the registration. Is not just like you do one time and it's global. It's local, nationwide, and then you do international. And even when you mentioned international, I thought that you have to register in every country. But what you're saying is that there is international associations or organizations that can actually do that for the whole region.
Yes, yes. The World Intellectual Property Organization is like the place to register, and they're the organization that like dictates the international treaty, so everyone's on the same page in terms of certain subjects. And if you want to register everywhere around the world, you just register there and choose the countries, but they will email you and say like, hey, I would suggest also registering in the places that you ticked off while we check on this register.
And
Oh,
they charge for every place you check.
Yeah, and that register is expensive. It's the most expensive one that I've seen.
Imagine.
so you manage companies like in a global scale, or you focus more on companies in the U.S. and Puerto Rico?
For now, I focus on the U.S. and Puerto Rico, with the exception of the client on Antigua and Barbuda.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were going to ask about Puerto Rico, I believe.
Yeah, about the rum.
Oh, you were going
So
to
I
ask
cannot
about
start Bacardi here in Miami because somebody's
No.
using the thing. Here's what
No.
happens with companies that start many times, they think they can do everything on themselves, and then they get into a mess because they have no idea what they're doing. Intellectual property, all the years I've been in business, has always been very complex, and I know it's getting more complex. It is not a do-it-yourself process. And
No,
they
it's
have
not.
websites. The government has a website where you can go start your uh, trademark. First of all, you don't know what the four boxes are, so you're lost. So unless you have Paula on your team, you're going to waste time and money because you don't know what you're doing. So
Yeah,
unless you're
yeah. Like as I say to other people, you can register your trademark and your copyright on your own. You don't need me. But the second that you receive, what's it known as an office action, which is basically an email of the USPTO responding back and saying, "Hey, this is what I think about your trademark or your copyright," and you don't understand anything of
yeah,
that email, then you're like, oh wait, let me call Paola.
yeah,
yes.
that's the only way. So thank God for Paula because this is such a it can be so expensive if you don't know what you're doing because you have to resubmit you oh my and you're going to end up getting an attorney anyway, so why
Yeah.
didn't you start with an attorney? Save money and time, you have somebody
So
on your
many
side.
concentrations. So when you study law, after you finish, I'm trying to understand a little bit more about law. Because when you are, for example, studying to be a doctor, you finish medicine or the program, and after that, you need to do a concentration or taking on a specialization in whatever you want to do, cardiology, etc. Is the same in law? Like you finish the general law and then you take a path, or how does it work?
I kind of. So, for instance, I'm able to say that I'm an intellectual property specialist because I did a master's in law in the subject. But if you only did the 3 years of law school, you can't call yourself a specialist. You
Oh.
can just call yourself a lawyer. You can still register a trademark or and a copyright, but you don't have the specialized knowledge of an intellectual property attorney.
Interesting.
And then, for instance, trademarks is another a whole other ball game because you have to have a bachelor's in science, technology, or engineering to then go to law school and take the patent bar to be able to be a patent attorney. So, for instance, someone like me who studied accounting and human resources, I can't file a patent. I can look at it. I know what it says. I can even help you draft it because I've drafted industrial design patents, but I can't sign it.
So the difference between trademark and intellectual property is basically the scientific and technological part. Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I don't know. So you have somebody that can sign those types?
Yeah. So, for instance, I can have a client that has a patent and be like, okay, let me see what you have done. What is it exactly that you're doing? And point you into the right direction. I will refer you to a patent attorney, and we can work together. Because the good thing about being bilingual is that most patent attorneys will look at someone who is bilingual for like all the language nuances of drafting a patent, and we can work together, and then he does all the like the technical stuff of filing and all that jazz, and I can concentrate in trademarks or copyrights.
Very interesting. So based on your experience and the clients that you have and you had in the past, it's more like companies that try to do the intellectual property coming to the US, or it's more companies in the US trying to do it in the US, or the third option, companies that are trying to export this idea.
Well, for here in Puerto Rico, it's people trying to export, and we have a really weird definition of exporting, which means selling stuff in the U.S.
Mm.
That
That's
doesn't make
not
sense.
that's not exporting, but they call it exporting. And then there's people vice versa from the U.S. trying to export to Puerto Rico, and then there's the few cases here and there where they might have their suppliers of, let's say, you're buying clothes from Colombia, then that classifies as international, and you might want to register in Colombia also.
That's super interesting, right?
Yeah.
What an indication.
So Paula, tell us about, in general, the women in business, because that's one of my obviously passions as a founder of the Successful Women in Business. By the way, remember that we're going to have the Women Business Expo this upcoming March 8th, celebrating the Women International Day. And Paola is going to be one of our upcoming speakers.
Yes.
So if you want to meet Paola and you want to learn more about her and take pictures with her, you have to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a one-day event. But I was going to say about the women in business, well, in general, women industry, what you think that the role of the in general, the woman is now, be considering what is happening now, what happened before, and how you see our role in the future?
Well, it's very important to be a woman in business because you're you're being an example to yourself and to other women around you in different aspects, because you can be a woman in business as a CEO, but also in as for instance as a secretary or administrative or a professor, and each person has their role and their contribution. For instance, I am in the work that I do as a professor and coordinator in the university. I would be lost without my secretary. She's a walking encyclopedia.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and like I feel very empowered and better equipped to do my job as a coordinator with her. So it's like a whole teamwork of two women running this section of coordination. Um, and then with things like intellectual property and the legal industry, it was very male dominated. To give you an idea, when I was in law school, the bathrooms were still very um, reminiscent of the time where the majority of the students were male. And what I mean by that is that the really small bathroom was for the women, and the really large bathroom was for the men.
No,
Wow.
And when I entered the law school, it was a whole discussion about switching the bathrooms because like there were no men anymore.
Wow, big change.
wow, that's
Yeah,
a
it's a
huge.
big change, and like even law firms closed because of the issue of the fact that they weren't being diverse and open to the fact of women in business. I remember almost finishing law school when I received an email of this really famous law firm that closed because they refused to have women as partners or in really high up positions. And
Wow.
everyone was like, well, this is the reality. 99% of the student body of all law schools are women. Just deal with it.
9%. Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah,
high
I
percentage.
have no idea.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Great, great information. I am
No, I
yeah.
mean, I'm sorry with that
yeah,
percentage. It's like a 1% only now is male.
for law school.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I noticed the
But
change
if
in
you're
several
looking for a
industries.
wife, you should hang around the law school scene. And you can marry them, right?
There is a reason why it's only 1% now. 1%.
That's
Okay.
me, the 1%. I'm happy to be in my 1%. It's good for you.
No, but it's very interesting how the
It's huge.
the time changes, but at the same time everything changes. We evolve
Yeah.
in a way. We change in different sectors, industries, and our lifestyle change. Everything changed. Even now, we're living in a digital world. Everything is about digital. We're doing now interviews through digital, videos. We're doing meetings through videos. We're teaching through videos or Zoom
Hmm.
now, the Zoom, etc. So we're really living in a different state
Yeah.
comparing the. So it's kind of scary to me because I don't really know what else is going to happen. I mean, what else is going to happen in the future? We're going to do
Robots,
teletransportation.
robots, AI, robots are taking over.
Yes, and the also the culture and the environment is changing a lot. So Paola, we're super happy to have you today. Unfortunately, time flies. I can
This is
believe
great.
when we have an interview that is so interesting like yours, and we learn a lot. Time really
This is so
flies.
valuable. This is huge.
Remember, again, Paola is going to be our featured speaker for the Women Business Expo and conferences on March 8th. It's going to be at the Miami Airport Convention in Miami. So I'm going to put the credits there on the screen. Remember to register. It's a free registration when you do it online. So don't miss this opportunity to meet a lot of people, not just the speakers, but also connect with the exhibitors and the networking opportunities for that day.
It's going to be exciting.
Yes, it is.
Powerful, powerful. Don't be intimidated by the fact that it's a women event because I'm going to be there.
Well, it's 100 women annual, right?
That's what it's called. 100 successful women and out. That's the organization. Don't you forget it.
And also remember to claim for the magazine, the digital magazine. Paola was in our cover
Yes.
for February. So please make
Very
sure
nice.
to visit and read the magazine. We have amazing articles there. But also you're going to learn more about her story, what she has to say about her life, how she became so successful. But the most important, what you can learn from her for your business to take to another level.
Remember, like I tell my doctor, you saved my life. Paula will save your company's life if you contact her early, because your company can and will die if you don't do the right steps before launching. So you're a lifesaver.
Final words, Paola, something else that you would like to say before we end the program?
Yeah, of course. You can follow me in all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok with my two last names, Zaragoza Cardenales. I also have a website, ZaragozaCardenales.com, and you can find me there.
Perfect.
Also,
Easy to access, and she's going to be in person. She can sign autographs.
yes. I'm
Yeah.
going to the webinar.
Do you have a book yet?
Not yet. I am working on it.
Okay, so this is a great place to meet the author of the fantastic book that she's going to write, and be one of the first to get her book, because it's going to be full of so much information. I love it. Great job. We thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank
This was
you.
very exciting. We just went through fast.
Too fast.
So we'll do it again.
You talk too much, Al. That's
the
why.
problem. Okay, happy Friday.
Paola, thank you
you.
so much for taking the time. See you soon.
Of course.
Take
See you
care.
soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.